Just turn that full mix up. Hello, my friends. I'm going to get my mic just a little bit hotter. There's a little bit more heat on the old microphone there. Still, not quite enjoying it. Not quite where I want it to be. Just give a little bit of juice there. Hey, all right. Welcome, my friends, to the Mr. No Bones live stream radio program. And today, I will just be focusing on talking a little bit about myself. I'm going to try to have my YouTube chat open here. Man, I'm really bumping this mic cable. And if you can hear that, I apologize. Open in Safari. There's my live chat. I can participate in that. Okay, chat is up and running. I'm just gonna do a little type-a-rooney. Hello. No. Hello. My friends. You will really have no choice but to bear with me for a moment. I mean, you do have a choice. You could just fuck off, right? But you're not fucking off. Hold on, turn my actual monitors down. Hey, technical difficulties. Not even technical difficulties. Really just the the nature of the beast, this thing. Live streaming is done live. I got time, got to deal with everything that comes my way. So welcome to my live stream today. I am Mr. No Bones, a.k.a. Tommy Schultz, a.k.a. Sensei Tommy, a.k.a. Rumble Monster, a.k.a. Dead Monster, a.k.a. DJ Fingerling Potato, a.k.a. MC Catch Money. And I'm sure probably quite a few people out there just, would refer to me by some kind of expletive or, derogatory kind of term. Just focus my mic here a little bit more so you can hear me good. Alrighty. So my goal for today's stream is just going to talk a little bit about myself. Going to be, just conceited and narcissistic as I possibly can, and just make it all about myself. So, before I get started, just want to point out my nice little donation scroll at the bottom of the screen. If you head over to my website, mrnobones.com, you can click on the support link or just go to mrnobones.com/support. Find many convenient ways to help me continue to live, to philosophize, to share my teachings, to make art, to perform, to live as a disabled person with no income, who has to, I rely on the kindness of others to continue to exist. So, let's just see. Just hear Ding Danger says. All right. Looks like I got 2 concurrent viewers right now. That's real fucking cool. I appreciate you a lot. And it would help me out a lot if you would just go down there and click that like button. Help me algorithmically and whatnot. Some of these streams like this one, I'm not going to play any copyrighted music. So, this one will be monetized and will be able to make me hopefully money by clicking and watching. But, a lot of times, the majority of the times I would say, my streams are going to contain some copyrighted material, so I'm going to get a copyright strike. And that means that even though a million people click that video, watch me DJ, hey, just a million people have never watched me DJ, by the way. It's okay, I'm kidding. But to generate income from said live streams, I must rely on donations. And so, over at mrnobones.com/support, made it real easy for you. You can drop a one-time PayPal, drop a one-time Cash App. You can go to my GoFundMe, which is specifically dedicated to my legal battle. You can, or become a patron and sign up. Join Team No Bones and make it really, really easy on yourself and on me. Because, when you sign up on Patreon, you only got to think about it one time. You just think, hey, I wouldn't notice $5, $10, $25 every month just kind of falling out of my pocket. And on the flip side of that, I would notice it a lot. And I would have a lot of gratitude for that. And so anybody kind enough to make a donation at mrnobones.com/support, not only will you get a shout out on the air whenever you do so, but you'll also be added to my nice little scrolly right here. Where is it? I'm bad at this. Everything's reversed. Yeah, my nice little scrolly right here. And just says the names of people who have had both the abundance and the compassion to allow them to donate to my cause. Now, of course, I would never in a million years hold it against anyone. I work for free, and I work for free because I like what I do. And as such, since I, for many years, have followed my heart, trusted my gut, been guided by my brain, I've had lots of opportunities to do a lot of amazing things. And also, I've really never been able to support myself. I've always lived on the kindness of others. Hey, Keiko. Thank you for chatting. Hello. That's super cool. I love this. Every time we do it, we get better at it. And so, hey, maybe someday I'll actually get this chat scrolling on screen like a real live streamer would. But at this point, not really an option. So, as I was saying, to finish up, I live completely on the kindness of others. I am financially supported primarily by my mother and by my life partner. And as such, I have a home, I have food, I have health insurance, which is very important, but which is also very expensive. But we will get to that. Anyway, last, wrapping up, if you want to help me out, like, subscribe, click the bell, click share, tell your friends, tell your enemies, and if you're so inclined, help me out. You can support me. mrnobones.com/support. Okay. So, today, my subject is me. I was born to a mother who is a wonderful person, one of the most kind-hearted, compassionate people I've ever known. She has adopted many, many, many of my friends as her own children, and she says her profession is master enabler. And my father, my biological father, who these days I am referring to as my pops. My pops, he invented an extreme sport called Supercross. He was the first person back in the late 70s to take, dirt bikes used to just have solid forks and solid frames. And when he was riding in the sand dunes of Matagorda Bay, Corpus Christi, etc., the beaches of South Texas, Central Texas, however you want to say that, jumping over sand dunes, and realized that he really liked it, and he thought, hey, this might be advantageous in the sport of motocross, dirt bike racing. And so him and my grandpa Bob, who was he's one of my role models for wholesome, compassionate, non-toxic masculinity. But my dad, Pops, him and Grandpa Bob cut the forks off of a dirt bike, and they welded some shocks in place. And he started this trend of, back in the day, it was just go fast, get over the obstacles, or go fast in a straight line. And my pops, Robbie Holbert, he that first race, dropped the gate, boom, head out towards the first big hump. Everybody else over the hump, and my pops, he hit that hump, and he goes airborne, jumped over everybody's heads, landed in front. And through that era, he was a dominant force in the Texas motocross scene. But unfortunately, when I was around 4 years old, after the birth of my sister, he bailed. He bailed on us, and never really saw or heard from him again. He headed off, started a new franchise, had some more kids. Didn't really get to know them until the day that he couldn't accept that he was past his prime. He just couldn't handle, fading from being the superhuman superstar to just having to work at a bike shop and sell bikes. And he rested his chin on a shotgun barrel, and he pushed the button, and he ceased to live anymore. Painted the walls, whatever are the euphemisms for suicide. So he was a superhuman, but he was also, he was not calibrated for right action. He wasn't a great person. He was actually kind of a bad person. He had alcohol and substance abuse issues, and he also was physically abusive to my mom. One of my first repressed memories. And the reason that, I've been a long time dissociator, I think that switch got turned on in my brain as a coping mechanism when I observed my pops beating my mom into a bloody heap in the corner, and then took all her clothes out in front of the house. He threw them on the ground in the road, and he put motor oil on them and set them on fire. Luckily, he fucked off. So I had a dad for a couple of years, but, then I didn't. And we, that being my mom, myself, and my sister, we moved in with the man that my mom started dating, Bill Schultz. And he was a Harley biker and a crop duster agricultural pilot. He flew crop dusting airplanes. And so we moved out to the middle of fucking nowhere, and we lived in this little trailer and right next to the airport where he worked. And pretty soon after that, him and my mom got married. And pretty soon after that, about 2 months go by, and Bill is involved in a what would you call it? An aviation accident. He crashed his airplane. There was a mechanical failure. His engine died. He tried to make an emergency landing in what he thought was an empty field, but there was some old farm equipment that was concealed by overgrowth, and the wing of his airplane hit that stuff, flipped over. The Cessna roll cage safety system was designed defective. It collapsed. It broke his neck at the 4th cervical and crimped, nearly severed his spinal cord. And we spent that summer living with some friends of ours in an apartment in Houston, nearby the old Houston VA hospital. And if you don't know anything about the old Houston VA hospital, it was kind of like world renowned for how terrible it was. It was very old. It was very shitty. It was, and so I spent a summer mostly as a mostly unattended child, 9 years old, something like that, wandering around the VA hospital. Now, backing up a little, musically, my mom was always a piano player, and one of my fuzzy memory kind of comfort foods, as it were, is someone playing Fur-Elise by Beethoven on the piano, because that was a song that she played a lot. And it's also, it was the theme song to General Hospital, which was a soap opera that my parents contemporarily enjoyed. So my mom's always been a musician. These days she plays a mandolin primarily, but she's a musician in a kind of folk music band, Celtic-ish music band. I don't know exactly how you would describe it, but obviously, with the pandemic and all, they're not doing much these days, but I do believe they still do get together and play. I also was fortunate enough to be a Xennial, and so I as a child, some of my earliest memories are of the early days of MTV, and one of the music videos that I saw that was extremely influential on me was Herbie Hancock's Rocket. And if you're not familiar with the video, I would suggest after I'm done here talking, don't do it now, because I'm important. You should go and Google, go to YouTube, watch the Herbie Hancock Rocket video, because it's one of the earliest influences on my audiovisual aesthetic. And specifically, it was the first time that record scratching was featured in a national release single. So it's really the first time the world outside of, where proto hip hop was forming, was exposed to record scratching and turntablism. And I, as a child, that scratch was stuck in my head forever. And I remember riding the bus, and, I lived out in the country, so it was very long bus rides. And I remember just taking my fingernail on the vinyl webbing strap of my backpack and replicating that scratch. And so back to the VA hospital, being a unattended child in the very old, very outdated rec room provided there at the Veterans Administration Hospital, there was a turntable and some vinyls, and it was my first time as an unattended child with some vinyls. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get to do it. Oh, this is gonna be so great. It's gonna be so great. And so I went over and I pulled out a random vinyl, plopped it down on the belt drive turntable, and right on top of that, nice thick black rubber non-skid mat, non-slip mat. And I picked the needle up, put it on the record, tone arm right there. Scratchy sound starts coming through. I reach my little fucking hand over there, and I put my hand on that thing, and I pulled it back to do my very first scratch. And since it was an automated tone arm, that the turntable, it had circuitry that was designed to detect any disturbance of the listening, the quality listening experience provided by this turntable. And so this turntable lifted that needle right off the record and automated, put it back right in its place. And I went, oh. And so, it was a few more years before I ever got my hands on a turntable, but you can fucking better believe it. Soon as fast forward to 1999, when I got my very first set of real turntables with direct drives and slip mats, and sure as shit, man, I started trying to replicate that scratch. So come back. Okay, man, it did that freezy thing again. Fuck. Okay, well, at least I can see myself and know that it's happening. Sorry, I'm still here. I hope you're still here too. Let's see. Let's check my stream health. Looks like you guys still here. Got some viewers. All right, looking good. Okay, cool. So, my family, due to the negligence of the Cessna Corporation, we received a settlement, and we moved from El Campo, Texas, to Manville, Texas, which is 30 minutes south of Houston. And my mom was my dad's sole caretaker, at least medically. We didn't have any nurses or anybody who came by and helped us out. It was just my mom. The only other help that she had was my dad's best friend, Charlie Bainbridge, rest in peace. He quit his job and he became our employee, and we paid him to drive 3 hours each direction from El Campo to Manville 4 days a week to spend time with my dad and to be his hands, as it were. And Mr. Cab Calloway, okay, come here, hold on. Come here, baby. This is my baby, Mr. Cab Calloway. If you want to be his fan on the Facebook, you just head over to facebook.com/MRCABCALLOWAY, Mr. Cab Calloway on the Facebooks. He's an internet cat. Imagine that. Yep. Mr. Cab Calloway. Go like his page. I share shit all the time. So you will notice that I refer to Bill Schultz as my dad, not my stepdad, because it was around that time. I was 10 years old. He, as a what is called C4 quadriplegic, which meant he was paralyzed from the collarbones down. He had no sensation or function of any part of his body below the collarbones. And he lived in constant pain. When your spinal cord is nearly severed, it, instead of sending back and forth all the motor control and sensory information, all it does is just tell your brain, pain. And, he lived the rest of his life in just fucking excruciating, unbearable pain. But without the use of his arms and legs, without being able to speak above a kind of loud whisper, Bill Schultz decided that he was going to be my dad and that he was going to try to give me that benefit that I lacked in my life and the guidance that a young boy needs to become a man. And he adopted me and changed my name. My birth name was Robert Thomas Holbert. And now my name is Thomas William Schultz. Holbert, at that time, I was very mad at my pops for bailing on us, for, not being there for me. And so I wanted to delete him from my name. So I changed my name to honor Bill William Schultz. So that I made my name Thomas William Schultz. But, later in life, I've also realized that my greatest influence in my life of, like I said, non-toxic masculinity was my grandpa Bob. And to honor him, I made sure that my son, his middle name is Holbert. And I'm actually probably going to, at some point when I get around to it, add Holbert back into my name, not hyphenated, but I would have two middle names. So as a child, growing up, we made the very best of it. Luckily, nobody had work to support the family. Although, like I said, full-time caregiver is as much of a job as any job, maybe more so because it's 24/7. And if you guys aren't aware, something like 93% of caregiver relationships, marriages fail into divorce. But my mom, she stuck it in there, and we did our very best to live a normal life. And, uh, this is really where I believe that I internalized the fact that family is what we create. Your family by blood is not by any means your strongest or most important family bonds. That we create our families, and it's a ongoing dynamic process. And I'm still in that process. So about a half hour left. It was about this time that I started playing the drums, got into being a drummer. First, my mom got me a little toy electronic drum kit at Toys R Us. Rest in peace, Toys R Us. And she said, if you play this, if you can be consistent with this, we'll get you a real set. And I played that thing until it fucking broke. And she was like, okay, cool. So we went to the little local music store in Alvin, rest in peace, local music stores, and bought just the cheapest little plywood trap kit and started learning to play the drums. I played those things until they fucking disintegrated pretty quickly. Got a real drum set. That was about teenage years, and went to high school. My first year of high school, I went to Alvin High School, which back in those days, it was the biggest, both in physical size and in student body size. It was the biggest high school in America. And we had students from multiple cities around the area fed into the same high school. So this is about the time when I started practicing martial arts. And as a child, I had known my whole life that I wanted to be a martial artist. And I begged my mom. I wanted to go to the local karate school there in El Campo. But, we were working. It would be a few more years before I met Poofy. For the first few years there in Manville. But as I said, I knew I wanted to be a martial artist, but my mom said, hey, we don't have enough money. We were lower middle class, kind of dirt poor, living out in the country. And so it wasn't until I was 15 when I got my hardship driver's license and a 1979 Chevy full-size pickup, which, of course, then I became the taxi for all my hoodlum friends, and we would pile everybody in the back and drive around and do hood shit. But that also gave me the ability to drive myself to Alvin Kung Fu. Rest in peace, Alvin Kung Fu. And trained under Sifu Luis Garza. Rest in peace, Sifu Garza. And I started training in Shaolin Kung Fu, Northern style Shaolin Kung Fu, praying mantis. And high school, there is at the end of junior high, I had, finally kind of figured out how to have a personality and kind of be cool, and started listening to heavy metal and grew my hair long, and wore flannel pants every day, and leather jacket, and since Alvin High School it fed on all of the kids coming out of the Tri-County area, or I should say maybe the Tri-City area. They have a thing called fish camp, and so your last couple days of junior high, all the kids who are going to be going to Alvin the next year went to the Alvin High School auditorium and had a introduction, kind of a seminar they called Fish Camp. And when I walked into Fish Camp, I locked eyes on a tall, long-haired, broad-shouldered gentleman named Nick Cox. Nick, now these days, shout out to my friend Nick. He is a history professor, which is pretty amazing. And he waved me over. We recognized, in we were all headbangers, the headbang, bang must stay, I don't know, thrash must stay. There you go. The thrash, the headbanger in me recognizes the headbanger in you. But they waved me over and sat me down, and instantly, that was my crew. That was my group of friends. And, that's the day I met Joel and John Eric and Nick and Carl, rest in peace, Carl Tomko. He died a year ago, actually, very close to this time. If you would like to hear a piece of music that I wrote in his memory, you go over to my SoundCloud and check out the track Remember the Guitar Man, because Carl was one of the best. We had several guitar players, but he was always the very best, and everybody knew it. So high school years, my first year, I didn't do great. Had to go to summer school to not fail my freshman year. And so my sophomore year and my next 3 years were spent at a very small private school in Houston called Houston Learning Academy, HLA. I don't know if they're still open. I think they might be. But I continued to have the same basic social circle. We were fortunate in that several of our moms were, were kind and cool enough to kind of look the other way, and even though that we were underage drinking and smoking pot and all of that, I think they all were like, hey, as long as they're doing it here and not out getting in trouble, it's probably all right. So we spent a lot of time hanging out, playing music, partying at my house, John Eric's house, Joel's house, and my th birthday was supposed to be a surprise party. My girlfriend at the time Amanda Sims. Shout out to Amanda. She's still a good friend of mine and a really good person. She is one of the two people who introduced me to punk rock. And I had really long hair at that time that a friend of mine, Maya Mead, rest in peace, Maya, she was the haircut giver in our social circle, and she went to give me a haircut, and she started cutting and trimming on this side, and then she came around, I felt those scissors like right here, and I'm like, what just happened? And I wore my hair fucked up like that for, a week or two until I shaved it into a mohawk, and that kind of became a distinctive trademark of mine. Was I wore big giant Liberty Spike mohawk that was held up with Elmer's glue, and so was kind of legendary hardness, sharpness, and ridiculousness. And it was about this time that they were going to throw me a surprise birthday party. And Amanda took me to the mall and was supposed to, just keep me distracted for a few hours, and then take me to the birthday party, right? But as the day went on and on, I kind of kept getting this feeling like she kept getting more and more desperate to not take me home, to not let me go home. And finally, I just like, something is wrong. I need to go home. So go home. I get there, cars everywhere, people everywhere, and I walk in, and it's surprise, your dad died on your birthday. And that sucked. Right? Like, I didn't celebrate my birthday again until I was like 24, maybe 23, something like that. 20, somewhere around there. But that's when I really kicked into high gear in my rebellious phase and just fucking shit up, being a hood, fucking punk. I got into punk rock, playing the drums, and that's when I also started getting into singing a little bit, vocal performance. I've always had an obsession or a talent or just an interest, I guess you could say, in Foley, Foley artistry, the art of sound effects. I had a grade school teacher told me that I should get into making sound effects, get into the sound effects business, and I have also a particular interest in voice actors and voice acting. I love storytelling and singing and making funny noises and vocal performance. I think I learned to beatbox probably even before I ever started playing the drums. And in fact, that's probably one of the reasons that I felt like, hey, I think I can play the drums, because I always have these in my head. So post high school, I went to the Art Institute of Houston, and was, even though I wanted to do video game design, get into that industry, because I God, backing up, I've been an artistic person my whole life. I started drawing, scribbling, sketching when I was a little kid. I had both my grandma Betsy, who
is a China painter, and my Aunt Chicky, who is a traditional painter, paints on canvas and whatnot. Artistic influences in my life. Yep, you're right. We're almost there. I got into digital art fairly early. I remember being a little kid and drawing stuff in MS Paint on my grandpa Bob's computer. But the Art Institute, being a for-profit college, and as for-profit colleges do, they kind of railroaded me into their new multimedia program that they were trying to fill up. And warning, if you're not aware, for-profit colleges are shit. You should not go to them ever. Go to a real fucking college, because you're wasting your money, especially at Art Institute. They not, the whole experience not only showed me that my my visual artistic skills, drawing and illustrating, were just not up to snuff. I was there were so many artists there who were so much better than me, and that was very disheartening, as well as just the general ineptitude of the entire experience. It was just really bad. Teachers losing your assignments and then saying, "Oh, well, you're fucked. I don't care. You get a 0." It was just bad, top to bottom. And so, about this time, I started hanging out with a kid, young man who, we had met a little bit at Alvin High School. We were tangentially aware of each other, kind of through overlapping social circles. But yes, Keiko, I met my friend Poof, and Poof is still, to this day, one of my most beloved lifelong friends. He actually, he's a tattoo artist these days. He designed and tattooed me with my Hobbs tattoo, close to my heart. And he also, he introduced me to the Houston rave scene, and this is when I started listening to Boonchi music, as we called it. Got into electronics dance music. Immediately kind of stepped away from the drums and transitioned to, I bought Acid DJ and a couple of Gemini turntables, and I learned from a person of mine who is still a lifelong friend, Seafood Jordan Kolar, who, on top of having a long, successful career as an electronic musician, producer, and whatnot, he also he taught me to produce. He taught me to DJ. He taught me rope dart, which is a thing that I'll probably talk about in another stream. But very briefly, rope dart is one of my loves and passions. But he also, I learned to dance, pop and lock, from watching Jordan and imitating him. And Jordan, he, just kind of funny story. He is such a high tier physical. Oh, he was also one of my kung fu teachers. He taught me, Pai Lum Kung Fu. Jordan fucking influenced me a lot, man. He gave me a lot of things, and I'm eternally grateful. He's still near and dear to my heart. Love you, Jordan. But he such a high tier of physical aptitude that he was a fucking performer for Cirque du Soleil for a while, you know? Like, that's how good that dude is. But backing it up, at my first rave, my first time trying MDMA, taking ecstasy, I didn't know how to dance, you know, and up till that point in my life, I had a very specific don't forget, guys, Table Cat is watching you. Black Lives Matter. But I said my whole life leading to, or, you know, adult life, semi-adult life, teenage life, whatever. I had said, I don't dance. I can't dance. I don't know how to dance. The only time I would dance was if I was drunk and I was listening to James Brown. But when I went to my first rave and everybody's dancing, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. I imitated something that, and backing up again, my first musical love, the first musician that I ever really fell in love with, knew all their songs, listened to all their albums, blah, 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 was Weird Al. And Weird Al was also the first concert I ever went to. And, you know, also just, I learned a lot about, you know, I guess you could say I modeled a lot of my personality from imitating Weird Al and from the influence of Weird Al. And being a hypermobile individual, which means I'm double jointed is the, you know, kind of parlance for that. I imitated a thing that I had seen Weird Al do, which Weird Al called the No Bones dance. And I'll actually, let's see if I can try to replicate it a little bit. Yeah, you know, I believe that's the No Bones dance. And Poof took me around to all of the dance circles, had me dance, took me around to all the cuddle puddles, and the first one he said, "Hey, this is my friend. It's his first rave. Check out his No Bones dance." Wow, that's great. Hugs. Go to the next one. "Hey, this is my buddy. It's his first rave. Check out the No Bones dance." Wow. Next one. "Hey, this is my buddy. This is his No Bones dance." The next one. "Hey, this is my buddy. No Bones." And so, you know, ravers are real big on nicknames, handles. And so by the end of that night, I was dubbed Mr. No Bones. And thank you, Keiko. I will take that hug. By the end of the night, I had my first real nickname, Mr. No Bones. And yes, they were definitely, it is always a mixture of intense surprise and a lot of times a bit of revulsion, and but you know, that's okay. I actually developed a whole contortionist routine to the point where I actually planned to be, I got 5 minutes left, wanted to actually pursue being a contortionist. And funny story, kind of circles completed. Hi, Poofy. Thank you for typing. Train of thought, man. Fuck. Oh, I got to, if you guys don't know, one of the things that Weird Al's famous for, and I've seen Weird Al in concert countless times. I've seen every band I ever wanted to see. I've seen Weird Al fucking more times than I've ever seen any other band. And something that Weird Al does is after his shows, he goes back behind the venue, and since it sets up a little table and chair at the loading dock, and if fans wait in line, you get a chance to have a little interaction with Al, and he will sit there and talk and hug and shake hands and sign and whatever until that line is done, and so I actually got a chance to tell Weird Al, hey, I'm Mr. No Bones, and told him the story of how, I did the No Bones dance, and it was his No Bones dance, and that this is my No Bones, I forget how I put it, but this is my No Bones thing, and I did my arm contortion. I used to be able to do all that shit where you could pass your arms front to back, and which, hey, if you didn't know, is really bad for your rotator cuffs. And if you do that, you're gonna have to spend a few years like rehabbing your rotator cuffs to not just like fall out of place anytime you lift anything. But see, I told you I tangent way too hard. I did my thing for Weird Al. He signed my Hawaiian shirt, and he looked at me and he said, "Wow, that's really weird." So Weird Al, not just he's been an influence on me, not just by kind of mimicking him and his mannerisms and his cartoonishness and a lot of the things that I'm known for. I ripped off from Weird Al or Sifu Jordan. Funny how that goes. But also Weird Al, I from a young age always knew I was different. I always knew I just never fit into that mold, into any mold. And listening to Weird Al, funnily, I knew there were tons of songs that I knew I memorized the lyrics to the Weird Al version before I ever even heard the original version. But Weird Al was the first person, in my experience, who came forward and he said, "Hey, I'm a Jewish kid from Linwood, California, and nothing about me is cool. I'm weird, I'm different, but I am proud of that. Wear it as a badge of honor. Be fucking weird." And he taught baby me to really be yourself, to be true to yourself, to one of my maxims, and you guys will, the more of these fucking sessions you listen to, the more you'll hear me repeat these teaching maxims, because I love coded language. I love taking a large amount of information, condensing it down into a very small, easily transmissible packages, right? So one of my life's philosophies that I live by, and I try to encourage, it's one of the things that I've told my son his whole life, is be yourself as hard as you can. And I really feel like that we are all part of an infinite fractal machine that we are incapable of understanding or perceiving because of the limitations of our tiny meat brains and our extremely not sensitive sensory organs, right? There it is. That's 7:00. Got to wrap it up. But we're a part of this infinite fractal machine that is in perfect working order all the time, no matter what. No matter what you think about it, no matter how you feel about it, it's working perfectly. And I say that we as a consciousness really get only one true choice in this life, and that is to love it or hate it. And my inclination is that if I'm a piece of this giant infinite fucking machine, and I get one choice is to love it or hate it, that hopefully, I think, it may make the machine, whatever my job is in that machine, function better when I love it. So, wrapping up, I'm going to do more of these. I'm going to keep telling my life story. I'm going to keep telling stories from my life. People have constantly told me my whole life, man, you've had a crazy fucking life. You should write a book. And I've tried it a few times to get started writing a book, but I'm not good at sitting down and doing the homework, the behind the scenes work, right? I'm a performer. I really like to just perform. I like to just get in front of a fucking audience and do my thing. And so that's one of the ways that I'm going to be using my live stream, is I'm going to try to tell my life story and as many of my crazy, interesting anecdotes, stories, experiences, as well as help you understand more about me, more about how it is that I'm still alive, what I got to do to continue to live, to continue to function. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at age 24. I was told I was going to be in a wheelchair in 2 years. I'm 41, and I'm not in as good a shape as I was, 3 or 4 years ago, but I'm still walking around. I'm still a marginally functional human being, but I am now, I'm too disabled to have any kind of job, and so this is my job. And in addition to just sharing my weird, funny stories, I would like to share teachings, both philosophical in nature as well as physiological in nature. I am going to be doing live stream DJing, live music creation, both acoustic and electronic. I started drawing again, and so I actually do drawing live streams where you can watch me draw on my iPad with my Apple Pencil, and those are pretty cool. And share with you guys about my life, my struggles, my successes, my victories, my failures. And the last thing I want to leave you guys with is, you've heard me mention my son several times. His name is Boss, B-A-S, and he is the boss. He does run the show. He's named after legendary martial arts great Bas Rutten, and actually got the blessing of Bas Rutten, but that's a tale for another day. He's going to turn 10 on January 17th. It's coming up in a few days. I haven't seen or heard from him at all since Christmas, the 25th, which is the night that his mother physically assaulted me in front of him. And she has, for the last 4 months, moved him to a secret location and denied me my custody visitation rights, as well as my ability to communicate freely with him. And he's my best friend, my dude. He's the upgrade of me. We've had an incredibly tight relationship our whole lives. You know, his mom is severely mentally ill, and her mothering instincts never really turned on. So I've been his primary parent, as well as, that's funny, that my legal service just fucking texted me while I'm talking about this. Great spiral, man. He's also been my number one student, martial arts and movement wise. We've trained together his whole life, even before he knew that he was training martial arts. And it is one of my greatest goals and honors in this life to be a dad. And his mom has been in continuous breach of our court order for 4 months now. I've been denied physical and communication access to my beloved child for over 4 months now. And as a person with no income, I have to rely on the kindness of others. Rely on a nonprofit legal service. I do not have a lawyer representing me. I represent myself, and working with them to draw up documents to try to both enforce my existing parental rights, and then also fight to have the court order altered, because and people ask me this question a lot: how did she get full custody of him? The answer is, when we were going through this battle, this custody divorce battle, that's when I found out that I was born with a genetic defect called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which causes the accelerated degeneration of all your body's connective tissues. Excuse me. And so, long story short, on the outside, I'm 41. On the inside, I'm 82. I have the spine, heart, stomach, all of that of a dying old man. And so at that time, it was unclear what my life expectancy actually would be. And so I thought that by waving the white flag, saying, hey, ex-wife, I don't want to fight anymore. I want to come to an amicable agreement that is what's best for boss, which would ensure him having a home to live in, because the last 3 years of our marriage, we were functionally homeless. We lived in gutted out shorty school bus, 200 square feet, in out in the country, just in people's yards. And so, and we also, we unschool. I solely, none of her, she didn't do any of it, right? I was the sole, parental, the primary parental influence, as well as his sole educational influence guide. I unschooled him until he was 2.5, or no, sorry. But anyway, she wanted to put him in public school, so I finally budged. I said, look, he can stay with you because you have a guaranteed place to live. I don't. you at least are in semi-functional health, whereas I actually could be dying in the next year or two. And so I signed a court document stupidly without letting a lawyer read it, and I didn't know how badly I was getting fucked over and how much deceptive, specifically harmful to me shit that was written into the court order. So yes, I know I fucked up, and I made that bad decision. I made a bad decision at one of the worst times in my life. And if, as I continue to tell my life story, you'll know that I've had a lot of really fucking shitty times in my life. I had some really low moments. But at my very lowest, I was deceived to believe that my ex-wife was capable of acting in our child's best interest, and I got fucked. So I need help. I need help from everybody. And legal shit, even when you're representing yourself, it's expensive. And my family who supports me, my mom who supports me primarily, shout out Barbara Schultz. The money from the settlement with Cessna is running out, and my life partner, Casey, she luckily is a very skilled software engineer and can provide a roof over my head, make sure that I have food to eat, and to all of us work together to blend and integrate our families. And they accepted me, into their family. Her kids are basically my stepkids. We are domestic partners, which is the reason that I'm able to have health insurance, because after I got divorced, I was no longer eligible for Obamacare, anyway, thank you for joining me, my friends. I'm a little congested, so I bet my voice is just really nasally and just fucking annoying. But thank you for joining me. I'm going to do these as often as I can, and hopefully I won't repeat myself too much. If I do, you can reach out through the chat and smack me around. Like Keiko and Poofy have been doing this whole chat. And I love you guys. Thanks for the interactions. And as I said, join Mr. Team No Bones today. MrNoBones.com/support. I didn't fucking make that come up on the screen either. That was automatic, right? Fucking Great Spiral is real as shit. So I'm going to share with you guys as much as I can. If my continued existence brings you any kind of pleasure, any kind of fulfillment, any kind of enjoyment, then feel free to head over to MrNoBones.com/support and choose from many of the convenient ways that you can financially contribute to my continued existence, including helping me with my legal battle. That's the GoFundMe. So to end on that note, make sure to like and subscribe at my YouTube. That's where these things are going to happen. Make sure to share my content. Make sure to check out my SoundCloud. Check out my fucking blanking on all the shit that I do. But just go check me out. That is about the best that I can offer you. Just do this here. All right. I guess that's it. So, Mr. No Bones signing off. I love you. Go out there. Be yourself as hard as you can. Align mind, heart, and gut. And fuck, man. Fight the power. Fist in the sky. Black Lives Matter. ACAB. You can't hug every cat. Love you guys. Have a good